Hi guys, and welcome back to Movies That Matter with the Viking. And today, well, before we start, let's wish a happy birthday to our new Batman, Robert Pattinson, who turns 34 today. Well, this video will be highlighting and talking about his recent interview with GQ, and it's caused a bit of controversy over the last 24 hours or so. He commented on his workout regime for the Batman, his diet, also about leaving a legacy behind in the role. Now, if you know me, when it was announced that sadly that Ben Affleck was leaving the role of the Batman, he wouldn't be coming back for future films, my first pick for the role was Robert Pattinson. Now, why? Since his Twilight days, I don't even look at those films. I don't really judge his acting credentials off those films. Those films, there's very much, it's a confined space for an actor to do in those films. But I've looked at his indie work, his independent work he's done since Twilight. Good Time, Lost City of Z, Rover, things like that. If you go and watch those films, then you'll see that this man is a top-notch actor, and he shouldn't be judged over teen heartthrob romantic films that are targeting a certain audience and to just play up for the box office. He went away and did the indie films, and he was exceptional in these roles, and over the years he's improved and improved. And if you think he's a poor actor, I don't fully believe that you went and seen all his other films. This man later this summer is supposed to be starring in a film directed by the great Christopher Nolan, of course, who did the Dark Knight trilogy and did amazing films like Interstellar and Dunkirk. He's the peak of directors in Hollywood, and he chose Robert Pattinson to be his lead in one of his films. Should actually show you what he's thought about between the directors in Hollywood. They want to work with him. They want him to lead their films, and Matt Reeves was also one of these people that's seen something in him, that's seen something that he could portray what he had in his mind and vision for the Batman to bring on to the screen. People are throwing a lot of hate towards Robert for this interview and for some of the things that he said, especially about his workout regime. Now, Warner Brothers are providing him with a nutritionist, providing him with a gym instructor, program, and they've given him some equipment to keep working out while the Batman is on hold and he is locked up in quarantine. But he said he's not exactly keeping up with those guidelines. Now, we've seen some images of Robert with shirtless, and look, he doesn't compare to what Ben Affleck was or Christian Bale. Like, people give him a lot of hate over how his body is and physique. Christian Bale has a different kind of frame than Robert does. Ben Affleck is a different frame as well. He's a bigger guy. He's able to put on muscle, put on size a little bit quicker in terms of bulk and to look like a bulky man. Robert has the body type that can get toned very quickly, that can put on muscle, but lean muscle, not to be absolutely ginormous. He doesn't have the body frame to do that. Now, me, myself, personally, I study fitness, and I'm currently studying to be a gym instructor, and I've worked out for years myself since I was 15 lifting weights, and I'm a big guy myself and I've got a big frame, so I know how easy and also how hard it is to put on muscle and to sustain it. For me personally, I'm a bigger guy, so I have to work out more often with weights to maintain my kind of size and tone. Now, I won't lose my muscle mass if I stop working out for a few weeks, no, but I'll lose that little bit of definition and a little bit of tone and things like that. So I have to keep on top of it. Now, for someone like Robert, he has a much lower body fat percentage than most people because of his physique. And if someone like Ben Affleck, he'd have a lot lower body fat. But that's also because he is a lot younger than Ben Affleck also, and the metabolism and all that is a lot different. But with Robert, he's never going to be huge. He's never going to be big like Ben Affleck, even like Christian Bale. But what he can be, he can be muscular in terms of a lean look. And that's okay. Not every Batman has to be 6'5", 260 pounds, and an absolute beast. That's my ideal Batman, and that's what Ben Affleck was, and that's why I think Ben Affleck is the best Batman of all time. He looked the part, he felt the part, he was intimidating. I was in awe looking at him in the suit as the character. Now, of course, we've only got to see Robert in a short kind of clip, not even getting a full look at the suit and his movements and mesmerisms, how he portrays the Batman. And of course, I don't know, he's not going to have 10, 15 shirtless scenes in the Batman, which I don't think, because not every other, because look at all the other Batman films and look at most superhero films. There's usually one scene or two scenes where they're shirtless and you get to see their body, and the actors work around that scene and they're ready for that day. They know exactly when it is, so they can train and get their body in shape to be shirtless for that day. If you go and look at interviews for Hugh Jackman when he was portraying Wolverine, he'd know when the shirtless date was off. Then he'd go on a dehydration phase where he wouldn't drink any water for 3 or 4 days, and then the day before he'd drink about 10 liters of water leading up to the scene, and then the day before the scene drink absolutely nothing. So he was absolutely ripped. So I was never concerned of how Robert Pattinson was going to look shirtless, or how big he was going to be and how bulky he was going to be. I knew that he was going to give a great portrayal of Bruce Wayne because he is a great actor. I also thought that the script needs to be good also, which I hope it is, and which I think it is, coming from Matt Reeves, who I'm a big fan of. But I will say this, I will say that he needs to look the part to feel the part. So if we see him shirtless in the Batman, and he looks skinny and he doesn't look like he has that much muscular definition or muscular endurance, are we really going to believe that he came from Ra's al Ghul and that he's able to take on villains like Bane or the Penguin and things like that? So he has to look the part for us to feel like he's the part. He has to have that essence of Bruce Wayne. He has to have that essence of Batman. Just looking at him, he has that. But in terms of his fighting, in terms of how he looks in the Batsuit, standing beside villains and things like that. But he commented on his workout regime in the interview. So he went on to say that he was left with a Bosu ball, a single weight, and a sincere plea to use both. But right now he says he's ignoring her. This is his quote: "I think if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem." By you, he means the other actors. You set a precedent. No one was doing this in the 70s. Even James Dean, he wasn't exactly ripped. Now, I will say about that, he is kind of taking a swipe at the big kind of actors who are in superhero roles, who maybe are more concerned with how they look instead of their acting performances in the film. Maybe taking swipes at people like, I don't know, Chris Evans and Thor, Chris Hemsworth, and maybe Dwayne The Rock Johnson and things like that. So maybe he's taking a swipe at those because they're so concerned how they look. They're so concerned to be in the gym 24/7 and looking big and strong. Maybe they're not too worried about their acting part. But you can do both. You can be in peak physical condition and look like the character and give an unbelievable performance. Look at Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Look at Ben Affleck's Batman. So that maybe is his opinion on it, but my opinion is you can do both. And he talks about James Dean. James Dean, a great actor, but comic book movies weren't comic book movies in the 1970s. They weren't this big culture that they are now, that everyone knows what comic book movies are. Everyone knows the characters who plays them. They're not these, in the 70s they weren't like this. And James Dean, wasn't ripped, but he wasn't getting ready for roles like this. He was getting ready for acting roles. He wasn't getting ready to portray Batman. If he was, he might have been a little bit different. But, I think he's taking a little bit of swipe at the people who were more concerned. But Robert's a great actor. He's going deep with the character of Batman. He continues saying that in the interview. And that's what he's doing. He's studying the character. He's studying the history, the culture, the other movies. He's trying to do stuff that the other actors didn't do. He doesn't want to copy things like that. But I've seen pictures of him with his shirt off. He looks fine. He was casted last April or March of 2019. They didn't start shooting till around before Christmas or just after Christmas of this year. So he had loads of time, 6 months, to get in shape and be in the body condition that he needed to be for the role. And look, he's not going to lose the body condition that he has put on over 6 months in just a few weeks of quarantine by doing nothing. If he's eating the right foods, he'll maintain it. If he's staying a little bit active, he'll maintain it. He's not going to completely let himself go. He's not. The Batman is shut down for now at the minute. fully, and we don't know exactly when they're going to be back full flight shooting scenes and shooting action scenes. So people are just kind of looking at the wrong part of this article and giving them too much shit. Now he goes on to say that Zoe Kravitz, who's his co-star who's playing Catwoman, she is working out 5 days a week and taking it really seriously in terms of her fitness. And look, they're two different actors, you know. Like that's what she wants to do, and that's fair play. If I was in the role, I'd be working out every day as well to look at the best I can. But Robert just seems to be more concerned with the acting concept of it rather than the physical look. We don't know what the fight scenes are going to be like in this film. We don't know if there's going to be even many fight scenes. You look at the Dark Knight trilogy, the action isn't the core element of those films. You look at Batman vs Superman, the action is completely different from anything that we've ever seen. So this film, in my opinion, is going to be more of a kind of action in terms of what we got with Michael Keaton's Batman. It's going to be more in terms of the action that we got even in the Schumacher comedy films. And with the Dark Knight trilogy, I don't think we're going to get a warehouse-like scene like we got before. But we also don't know what the script is. Look, we're so concerned about how Robert looks for the Batman film, but we haven't sat back and asked ourselves, what does the script entail of? What does it ask for him as an actor? Now, I don't think it's going to be like Batman vs Superman, action, big set pieces, things like that. I think it's going to be more of a grounded film, a more emotional core film that really hits at the heartstrings in terms of the character trying to find himself in this world of being Batman. And maybe that doesn't entail a lot of action scenes, and if so, then there's no point for him to be this big, massive, ginormous beast of a man, just like Ben Affleck was in his Batman film. So we don't know much about the film yet. We don't know what kind of action is in the film. We don't know if it's one or two big scenes, or if it's an emotional, psychological film. Characters like the Riddler and Penguin, who are in the film and will be the villains, aren't physical specimens like a Bane character would bring. You know, so we have to look at it from that point of view. Who says it's going to be an action film? This could be a deep, emotional, psychological film that requires the utmost acting. Let's face it, the Riddler and Penguin aren't Joker or Bane. They're not physical characters who are going to go toe-to-toe with the Batman. Maybe in this incarnation they will, but in the lower Batman, they haven't really gone up one-on-one against Batman and had like a super fight. It's more of a psychological battle of thought. So that's another thing that we have to ask ourselves. But people are too concerned about body shaming Robert Pattinson about how he looks for the role. Yes, of course he has to look the part, and I think he will look the part. I've seen shirtless scenes of him, and he looks okay, and he'll be fine. You know, he'll work around when the shirtless scene is, and he'll look perfect. And when he's in the suit, that's all that matters, and how he portrays himself in the suit. That's the only thing that matters to me. And I think he can pull off Bruce Wayne no problem whatsoever. But there is a big part in this interview that people are bypassing or just ignoring, or maybe people didn't even read the entire interview. He's being asked about working with Christopher Nolan and then taking on the character of the Batman, and he had something very interesting to say. I think sometimes the downsides, which I've definitely thought about, the downsides kind of seem like upsides. I kind of like the fact that not only are there very, very, very well done versions of the character, which seem pretty definite, but I was thinking that there are multiple definite planes of the character. I was watching the making of Batman and Robin the other day, and even then George Clooney was saying that he was worried about the fact that it's sort of been done, that a lot of the ground you should cover with the character has already been covered, and that's in 96, 97, question mark. So that's a very interesting thing from Robert there. He is going back and he's looking at all the incarnations of Batman. Now it's interesting when you see kind of characters or actors take on a character that has been portrayed before, say like the Joker, and then they're asked about the character. They'd say, oh, they didn't go back and watch the previous incarnations because they didn't want to take too much from it. They also didn't want to get the idea of trying to memorize and trying to play off the character, the actor that previously did it. They usually go off the comic books and try and do their own thing, but Robert is going back. He's looking at all the incarnations of the Batman. He's not just watching the films, he's going back and watching the documentaries and the making of, and how much went into these characters and the actors and what the pressure they were under. And that's from 1997 that film came out. And look, it's regarded as one of the worst Batman films of all time, and you're probably asking yourself, why would Robert even go back and watch that? But he's going back and he's watching to see what things have been done by the actors and what things haven't been done. And he doesn't want to go and do a rip-off of George Clooney or Val Kilmer or Michael Keaton or Christian Bale or Ben Affleck. He wants to do his own thing. He wants to bring something unique to the role, which I am fine with. I don't want to see the same character over and over again. The Batman character is made to be played by multiple people, multiple incarnations, multiple directors having their take and vision of the character. So I'm so interested, someone who's such a good actor as Robert Pattinson wants to do with this character. He also went on to say, and then there's Christian Bale and Ben Affleck's one. And then I was thinking, it's fun when more and more ground has been covered. Like, where is the gap? You've seen this sort of lighter version. You've seen a kind of jaded version, a kind of more animalistic version, and the puzzle of it becomes quite satisfying to think, where's my opening? And also, do I have anything inside me which would work if I could do it? And then also, it's a legacy part, right? I like that. There's a few things in life where people passionately care about it before it's even happened. You can almost feel that pushback of anticipation. So it kind of generalizes you a little bit. It's different from when you're doing a part and there's a possibility that no one will ever see it, right? In some ways, it's, I don't know, it makes you a little kind of spicy, and he laughs. So I absolutely love this comment from Robert. He's gone back and he's watched every single version. He's seen all the tones that I've done before, and he's trying to see what hasn't been done before and also what has been done. And where does he fit into this legacy? Where does he fit into this narration of the character? Because he's just an actor filling the suit for as long as he does the role. If that's one film, if it's two, if it's three, if it's four, that's all his job is. But his job is to bring something unique and bring something different, but also play off what the other actors did and what worked for them. Now, with Christian Bale and Ben Affleck, they are the two best Batmans in my opinion. Michael Keaton very close, but the ultimate one for me personally is Ben Affleck's Batman. He looked and acted the part, but Robert wants to find a way to get into this role, and he can see the pressure already of becoming the Batman, because with most roles they're unknown. So you get ready for a film and people don't know that character. There's not this much anticipation, there's not this much excitement or pressure. But when you're playing the Batman, everyone knows the Batman, everyone knows the symbol of the bat, and he has taken up this mantle. And every comment he says, everything he does is criticized. Reports are done about headlines, clickbaits, all this stuff. The exact same stuff happened with Ben Affleck, and it was affecting him personally because of stuff in his personal life too, and also the behind the scenes drama. He talks about having a legacy as this character. And look, even the good Batman portrayals, even the bad Batman portrayals, everyone remembers who played the Bat. It's a part of your acting career. It's a part of your history. Even Ben Affleck was criticised, but people said he's a great Batman. He'll be remembered for the rest of the time. George Clooney is in one of the regarded worst Batman films than Val Kilmer, but everyone knows they played the character. And people even say with a better script they could have been a better Bruce Wayne, a better Batman and stuff like this. And people till this day still want Michael Keaton to come back and do a Batman Beyond film. So once you're this character, even if it's for one film or two films, you're this character for a lifetime. This is what people remember you from. And he also talked about in the article, he talked about doing indie films for so long, but people don't always see indie films. He does these films that nobody sees. And the big part of his criticism is because he did Twilight films, and people are going off his betrayal in those films. But they haven't seen his indie films, and he admits that. They don't see the other films that I do. And I've seen them and I go on my way to see them because I'm a film fan, but regular people may have only known them from the Twilight films and call them sparkles and things like this, trying to criticise him. And now they try and body shame him because they don't believe he can be a Batman when they haven't seen his full article of work. So, to be honest, Robert Pattinson as the Batman, I think will be great. And people are just trying to put him in a box, trying to criticise him for the way he looks, his body type and all this stuff. He will look fine and he will act the shit out of this film. But he isn't stupid. He knows that people are going to make a joke of him, and they already are. So that's how he does interviews. The press tour for the Batman is going to be very interesting because he likes taking jokes out of things. He even admits it in this interview. He gets nervous about things, so he tries to resort to comedy and making jokes of things to try and bring a lighter mood. So he wants to come out of his indie films for a while, and he's being in these big blockbuster films at the minute with high budgets, with bigger directors. He did of course The Lighthouse, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard great things about it. He also has Tenet coming out this summer with Christopher Nolan. It's getting pushed back more and more with the virus, but he's gone back into these high budget films, and the Batman will be his biggest yet, in terms of anticipation, in terms of criticism, in terms of excitement, in terms of just everyone talking about him all the time. And even now, when we haven't even seen a trailer, we haven't even seen him act as Bruce Wayne, we haven't even seen him act as the Batman, we've only seen a short clip of him in the suit and a few little promo pictures, people are already criticizing him as the Batman. But go back and remember when Heath Ledger was casted, when Christian Bale was casted, when Ben Affleck was casted, what were people saying? This is a terrible idea. These people are going to be terrible. They can't act to be these characters. Well, then you talk to Ben Affleck, one of the best Batmans of all time. Christian Bale, the same. So even Wolverine himself, Hugh Jackman, was criticised. Heath Ledger turned in an Oscar-winning performance. People doubted the Joaquin Phoenix, Todd Phillips, the guy from the Hangover films. That film went on to make, what, over $1 billion on a $50 million budget? And also an Oscar? A couple of Oscars? So, I think people who criticise too early always get the egg thrown in their face. And occasionally they are right, and they'll tell you and they'll throw it in your face that they were right. But this one, I think they are absolutely wrong. The director, the writers, the composer, the cast is all top notch. All absolutely brilliant. Like Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis, Paul Dano. This is going to be a special film, a special Batman film. Yes, I'm sad that it's not Ben Affleck. Of course I am. I was the biggest fan of Ben Affleck's Batman. I wanted to see a solo film. But all the shit that happened resulted in that not happening. So I always say, yes, I want to see a Ben Affleck Batman film, but I will take the release of the Schneider Cut to see Ben Affleck's last proper portrayal of the character. And you never know, with buzz around that character, Ben even might come back for more Zack Schneider films. So all in all, I'm really looking forward to Robert Pattinson's Batman, and people are just taking little small things to just try and have a go at him because of the way he looks, because of his previous work, because it's not Ben Affleck. So all in all, go read the entire article. It's very interesting. And Robert is a weird guy. Yeah, he is. He's weird and he says weird things, but he's a top class actor and he's working with a top class director. And that's all I'm looking forward to. Before you criticize how he looks, let's try and get a definite look at the script and the plot and the trailer and stuff like that. But as always, guys, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment. Come follow me on Twitter at MovieBuff100. Come follow me on Instagram at Movies That Matter, the Viking. Also, you'll find me on Facebook and at Zack Schneider's Justice League. And comment, engage. Come have some fun. Come talk about movies. Let me know what you think of Robert Pattinson as the Batman. Is he going to be too small? Is he not going to be able to portray the essence of the character? Is he going to be a bad Batman? A bad Bruce Wayne? Is this going to be a bad Batman film? Let me know what you think. I'm really interested. Always engage. Always come and talk. But always remember, stay positive.